October 2025. We're with two ministers on the program, the Presidential Chief of Staff and Minister, and of course somebody who is a familiar voice and face on this program here, Dr. Ceesay. I need to talk about balance of payment issues with him, and
I just want to
also the Presidential Committee on this PURA, data price flow and all of that. Yes, but
just briefly, three things about this borrowing, our debt to GDP ratio. If you look, all countries borrow. The average debt to GDP ratio in G7 countries, the G7 countries, is over 100%. Japan has 240%. Japan.
And these are the powerful countries of the world.
America has 125% debt to GDP ratio. And we are talking about 67% for Gambia, and we're thinking and we are complaining about that. And the second thing is that the problem we have in the Gambia is a fundamental problem, Peter. Most of our analysts, particularly journalists who report on auditing, are not skilled and don't have the competence to report on auditing issues. You see, audit is a special trade. You need to understand the nuances and the complexities of auditing for you to report and analyze on auditing. Most of our journalists don't have this skill, and I think we need to do something to build their competence to report on auditing issues, because the money that they say is missing, you see, missing paperwork or on account.
They're only quoting numbers, in audit reports.
Those numbers have a context behind them. And all the money that they said is missing, if all that money is missing, we would not do the infrastructural developments and the interventions.
But the issue is not with the journalists who report those numbers, but the people who generate those numbers.
No, but those numbers, like I say, you need to understand how to report those numbers as well. Those numbers don't appear in a vacuum. Those numbers have a context. They have a context behind them. And I think when I see the reporting and the analysis of some journalists in the audit, it clearly shows they don't understand the trade of auditing and don't understand how to report on auditing issues. And I think that's a fundamental problem that we need to also flag. That and when people want to say, because of the audit has said this, take people to mile 2, that is not possible. The audit themselves are not enough evidence in a competent court. It has to go through a process. It has to go through further investigations. Process has to be followed. We live in a democracy, and due process must be followed. And I think all the interventions we've done in the past 7-8 years, no government has done those interventions since independence. And that is thanks to prudent fiscal policies this country has done, but also making sure that our public finances are expeditiously managed.
Let me quickly add that for me, to be fair, like you said, the journalists report on the numbers. Actually, who are doing the greatest disservice and disinformation or misinformation are actually the opposition and social media influencers who have no knowledge about the audit. If you say or report as is presented in the audit report, I have no issue with that. I mean, there is no room for misinformation because you are reporting as it is. But where I have a problem is that you are passing yourself as an analyst and actually end up significantly misinforming the general public. That is where the problem really is.
Okay.
And who does that is really the opposition as well as the social media influencers. But quickly on what you have also mentioned regarding the overpayment number on the banquet facility. Peter, that was unrelated to the 32.5 million. The banquet facility had additional addendums that at the time the audit queried that they haven't seen the approval from GPPA. We dig down and found the approval and shared with them. But by which time they've already concluded because they haven't seen those addendum approvals, and therefore they were put together and passed as overpayment. That is exactly what just happened on the banquet.
Okay. You spoke about opposition, you spoke about analysts. Larry fits the bill. He's from the opposition. You can't doubt the fact that he's an economic analyst. And the issue of the Gambia's balance of payment was flagged as a major concern.
Interesting. Anyway, if Larry is looking for a balance account in our current account, that is what we call the balance of payment, then you can search, but I have not come across any particular year in the recent Gambian history where we have got a surplus or even a balance account. The balance of payment account of the Gambia has always remained in the deficit. The fact that this is flagged in the IMF flagged it as a way of saying we should be doing more to improve on the account. But to sit here and indicate that because the balance of payment is so bad that nobody in government speaks about it, I think that was quite disingenuous.
Isn't it worse than what you inherited from, the terrible Jame, even if you like?
No, the balance of payment, just like the fiscal account, has also been improving significantly.
It has been?
Yes, it has been improving. But to the extent that Blare is passing it as if we could have done a surplus balance or a balance account.
Well, he's basing his argument on what the IMF mission observed.
The IMF mission simply observed that the account is in the deficit, and that is not news.
Is it normal for IMF missions always to flag, the balance of payment?
Yes.
Okay.
They've
consistently done that.
They've consistently done that, and it has remained that way for ages.
Okay.
Nothing has changed there.
Okay. Once he saw our flyer, Yusuf Taylor, aka Flex, sent me this message. Honorable Minister for Information and Honorable Chief of Staff, can you kindly inform Gambians on the outcome of the Presidential Committee on the Data Price Floor established since late August and the government's call for dialogue with the youths? One, on the price floor, the Minister for Communications and Digital Economy stated during a Mansakunda town hall that the report is ready. There is something good there for Gambians and it is to be tabled in cabinet. When will Gambians get this something good? Is the report secret? Two, on the issue of dialogue with the youths, Gumsa Bopa, Gala and EFS CRJ have demanded that all charges be dropped for dialogue to take place. Since your declaration, no invitation letter has been written to any of us and the charges have not been dropped. Is the government serious about dialogue with youths, or is this just another delaying tactic?
Okay, a couple of issues raised by Mr. Taylor, who I respect very much. But let's break it down.
Let's break it down.
All right. First, he talked about the price floor determined by PURA and the reaction of the youths after the determination. Now, remember, PURA is an independent institution. PURA make the determination, not even informing government beforehand. Government have no clue when that determination was done. And they have the right to do that because, like I said, they are an independent institution. Now, and they went ahead and justify what they did. But the general public, including the youth, were not happy. And they protested. Now, we have indicated that it's the manner of the protest that we have an issue about, because you have also not exhausted the process that has been set. You can go through a public petition PURA on this particular decision. If PURA failed to reverse itself, go to the executive and talk about this. But now to mobilize yourself around a decision that was legitimately carried out by a legitimate body of government, I think also was to some extent not appropriate. Now, that is that done.
That's just context, background to actually his question, which is on the price floor. The Minister for Communications and Digital Economy stated during Emman Sakunda Town Hall, organized always by Dr. Sise here, that the report is ready because the President had set up a presidential panel to look into this, didn't he? And this is quoting the Minister, there is something good there for Gambians and is to be tabled in cabinet. Now, his question is, when will Gambians get this something good that the Minister of Digital Economy spoke about? And is the report a secret?
Now, okay, further, I was just coming to that.
Okay.
To demonstrate the goodwill and how responsive this government is, we said, okay, the youths are not happy, the public is not happy about this.
Oh, the youths are not happy?
No.
I thought somebody says the youths are happy, just go ahead.
In this particular context, all right? Now, and we said, okay, let's call the stakeholders. The ministry, MOBDI, Ministry of Digital Economy, PURA, Gambia Competition and Public Consumer Protection Agency, as well as Office of the President were summoned to State House to discuss this. And we were not in that room to reverse PURA or even question PURA's decision. What we were there for was that what had happened, any explanation by PURA, and what was the level of consultation, and what can be done. Now, the conclusion was that a task force was required to be set up, and we then mandated the Minister of Digital Economy to go ahead and constitute a task force, set up a terms of reference, and then conclude the report. The report has been concluded. Since the report was concluded, we haven't got a cabinet. The report has to be presented to cabinet for it to be tabled and discussed, and then accepted or otherwise. But meanwhile, we were also told, because this is a process, you talked about between August and to now.
Yes.
What happened was that not only were the task force looking at this, but at the same time, a body was also set up to study, to do a market assessment study that would have also informed the appropriateness of the $50 per gigawatt, whether that decision should stay, whether it should be removed, or whether it should even be enhanced. But whatever that study indicate would also have to inform the report outcome. But I am saying to Mr. Taylor is that August to date, if you know how government works, you think it's a long time. You think it's a delay in tactics. There is no delay in tactics in this. We have been responsible enough to understand that some people were not, or some part of our society were not happy about this, and we are doing something about it. Now, to his last question, was this the call for dialogue?
Yes.
This call for dialogue was made when we presented the government response to Gala protest. And we said, whatever can be achieved on the street can be achieved also on the table. We encourage and we made the point that rather than using the street, which is legitimate, they can always, but let's also allow dialogue and let's also allow negotiations. That is exactly what we did. But what was their response? Their response from their social media posting by the Ghetto Pen or even Galas Jr., where that we are not negotiating with any armchair officials, that we belong to the street. The street is our way. So if Gomsa Bopa or the center also believe in the same thing, who shut the door on who here? Because, like I said, government was determined to engage in a dialogue. And then, worst, they also place a condition. Unless you drop the charges, we are not sitting. So what is the point of extending any particular letter? Because the idea was to engage them, define a negotiation agenda, and then went ahead with the dialogue negotiations.
So this is not a delaying tactic, as he asks. Is the government serious about dialogue with youths, or is this just another delaying tactic?
No, like I said, if the youth comes and said, we are not negotiating with any armchair officials, if the youth said, we belong to the street, if the youth come and say, unless you drop the charges, we are not sitting. These are the conditions that they have placed.
And these are unacceptable conditions.
These
We're
are unacceptable
that
conditions.
they should come to the dialogue with an open mind. And then we can discuss some of these charges there, because obviously this is a matter for the courts, and the courts are independent courts, and we can see what we can do. But like I said, we are open and we are ready and we are committed to dialogue with all youths of the Gambia, not only Gomsa Bopa or Gala or Edward Francis Small Center for Rights and Justice. We, as a government, we are open to dialogue with every youth that is in this country that has an issue or a concern to discuss. We are open to discussing with them. And just a quick caveat, before journalists go and misrepresent what I said, that all journalists are not competent to report on auditing issues. No, I mean a few journalists whose analysis really were a misrepresentation of the facts. Obviously, journalists are doing a fantastic job in breaking the news to the public, but the analysis we've seen, there are quite a few people who call themselves journalists, by the way, whose reports, particularly those online, whose reports definitely there's an agenda behind how they are reporting these audit reports.
I have a question coming in here. Please ask my brother, Honorable Mod, when the shabby Chinese town at the conference center will be demolished to give our unique conference the face it deserves to be called a good tourism product. He will know who is asking the question.
Of course I know.
Yes. LOL.
I mean, I think for a very long time he has been consistently advocating
well,
for this.
we should declare him Sheikh Tijan Yang of...
yeah, I know Sheikh Tijan is a brother. And yes, legitimately so. We respect that. However, you have to understand the relationship that we have with China. Now, this was the contractor construction camp when he was building the conference center. And since then, he have expressed intention to stay. But, you know, as a construction camp, the space that is required to look for this particular company and relocate takes time. We would have gone to China to ask him to come to Gambia, relocate to Gambia and do business. He is now here and he likes staying here. So we would want him to stay. So we would do everything to support him to stay. I think Ceesay point is that this may slow down the success and the progress of the center to be one of the best, if not the best in the region. But I will tell Ceesay that the center is already one of the best centers. The International Conference Center of the Gambia hosts the largest number of conferences in West Africa this year.
Oh.
Yes. By the frequency and as well as by the number that also came to the conference to attend meeting. Almost everybody else is coming here now. And that has also supported the lean period we would have also generally experienced during the lean tourist season. So the center is almost a success, with or without the relocation of the JPC camp.
Okay.
But we will do everything possible to relocate them.
Speaking of Chinese and success or, you know, lack of it, recently the issue of the Independence Stadium came up again after the Gambia failed to qualify for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And everybody is asking, if, you know, we claim we have this strong relationship with China, bilateral relations with the People's Republic of China, why can't we go back to them to say over 40 years ago, you gave us the Independence Stadium, which today, you know, is not fit for purpose. We have been unable to play, you know, any serious football at the stadium for over 2 years now. Help us either rehabilitate the whole stadium or, you know, we have land elsewhere where you can give us a modern stadium. Can't we harness the potential of the ties, you know, the increasingly, you know, strengthening ties that we have with China to get a new stadium for the country?
Peter, yes, but bear in mind that like all partner relationships, our relationship with China is anchored around the FOCAC Foundation, but also we also have a specific project, whether it is PPP or investment, with their individual economic operators. What I mean is this: every 3 years, we will go to China or they will come here, and we would have identified a pipeline of projects with them. This would be in the area of road construction, in the area of agriculture, in the area of health. You remember, I'm sure, I just want to jog your mind, the Office of the President clinic that also created a lot of...
Yes.
What
happened to that project? Nobody's talking about it anymore.
Yes, I'm happy. We almost about to start. You know where the UNDP office?
Yes.
And we said, this, when we say OP clinic, it was just some kind of a name tag.
UNDP is just behind emergency, accident and emergency. Yes.
We are going to, that's where the clinic will be built, and it will be annexed to the RVH. or the Edward Francis Small.
So that's not inside
we have
State
always said
House
that
grounds
it's not
per
even
se.
and it's open and accessible, just like any other patients to RVH. So, but why was it so difficult, and what was that quarrel all about? The point I'm making is that you have to identify your priority program at that time, and then you work on them to deliver. Right now, we have a set of pipeline. Certainly, the maintenance of the stadium was not a priority. But at the moment, we are also looking at, including the Chinese, discussing with some Chinese, regarding a potential multipurpose stadium somewhere in Lamen.
Oh.
That has also been identified.
We just wanted, reassurance that...
The thing is, the government have been taking a lot of jabs and blow over the independent stadium for exactly the wrong reason.
Wrong reason?
Yes. Yes. Claim that so much money has been invested on the stadium, and yet we haven't managed to get a home match on the independent stadium. But Peter, for almost 30 years, no administration found it fitting to have also invested and maintained the stadium until it totally collapsed. We are the maintenance we are doing there is just not ordinary maintenance. It's a major overhaul of the whole facility.
Yeah, but the question, the query is it's overpriced, and we still, are not getting there.
We are not getting there. Overpriced by what extent? And who is overpricing it?
Well, it's in the audit report.
No, the audit report did not say overpriced. What the audit report flagged was that some of the expenditures were not supported by GPPA approval or missing documentation. This is not to say the overpriced as in comparison to what?
Because there had been no, previous major overhaul of the...
What is the benchmark?
Of the stadium.
Of course, the audit cannot say that. What the audit can say is that these are the expenditures we have tracked, but these are missing and these are missing, and we are working to make sure that those
Gentlemen, thanks for coming. I have to end it here because you people don't give me money. The next guest is coming into the studio with a lot of...
Peter, we'll go into partnership. That's a promise.
Chief of Staff will give you some money.
Chief of Staff will do something? Okay, this is a promise now. The whole world is listening. And watching.
Yeah.
You know what they say here? Read Maud K. Ceesay's lips. All right, that brings us to the end of our conversation with Maud K. Ceesay, Chief of Staff and Minister in the Presidency, and Dr. Ismaila Sise, Minister of Information. Yes, as I said at the beginning, it's not every day that we get two senior cabinet ministers in the same studio, and their insights this morning have certainly added depth to the national conversation.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Suway.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello? Ano lay wax?
Bisul mu fay.
What?
Bisul mu fine.
Oh. Yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mu fine? Wave. Your money is yours.